Hello. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. I'm Allison Ziggy. I'm excited because this feels like the OG. We used to do this every month at the start of the month to anchor in our intentions. There was a question if you want to grab your journal. Like, yes, anything that you're coming to with me, you should have a pen and paper just because you never know what you're going to find. So typically, and this is interactive, please, I want to understand the energy of what we're working with here as I'm starting to feel into this. I'm like, this is a mixed gamut, mixed bag. We have everything. So, yeah, so there's gonna something for everyone here. We're definitely going to want to ground the energy, but a little bit about using the first of the month to intentionally manifest. This is one of my favorite things to do because it's all about remembering that every moment can be a fresh start. Every moment can be this like the start of a completely new perspective shift. One perspective can change your entire life, your entire reality. And today we have a full moon, so this is the culmination of like an ending, of letting go, of shedding. And I really love to use this time to think about what's next. Think about what you're ready to let go of. Think about what hasn't been working. Thinking about what you're ready to shed. Thinking about what's possible. I'm in New York right now, and I want to share that I've been traveling, I've been nomadic. And at first, New York City was out of reach. New York City was like my crown jewel, like proudest accomplishment of my life was moving here. And then I went all in on my business, and the rent suddenly became the bane of my existence. It was like the one thing that I wanted the most and was so prideful about and was so proud of was suddenly like the thing that I was like, oh my gosh, I lost this. Like, can I still feel confident about myself and where I'm going? And it's so funny because the unexpected path brought so much blessing into my life. It brought so much closeness with my family. It brought just so much like new life and revival energy. And being here now on the other side of everything I didn't think that I wanted, there's such a sense of peace. There's such a sense of just like letting go of everything I thought I needed to be in order to be successful. So I really want to share this with you, but I wanted to share that yesterday I went to this drawing center. It ended up being an event for people who spoke sign language. So it was actually quite interesting to be the person who didn't understand sign language as this like they were like, "Oh, are you here for the event?" And I was like, "Yeah." They're like, "Do you speak sign language?" And I was like, "No." They're like, "Well, you might not understand anything that's happening then." It ended up being fascinating hearing this artist explain. They did have a translator from ASL to English, so I was able to understand what she was talking about. But she was talking about like her art and talking about what she was creating, and it was really interesting how what she was sharing goes so closely with the theme of what we were talking today. And it was all about embracing possibilities of the unknown. So, creating this relationship to the unknown, we have the start of the new month. It's the shortest month of the year, prime time for an experiment. So, let's like play with this energy. If you've come to one of these, let's like start by anchoring the energy. Oh, meditating and really anchoring into the space. So, I invite you to go ahead and get comfortable, and you can have your journal close by in case anything comes through that you want to later remember. But for right now, we're just kind of surrendering, letting go, and playing with this concept of exploring the possibilities of the unknown. So I invite you first, before we do anything else, we're going to anchor in and ground into the space. So just get comfortable, start to get awareness of your body. You can start to see if there's anywhere that's uncomfortable, anything you need to let go of. I like to imagine a little grounding cord either coming out of my feet or the root chakra, which is at the base of the spine. And this connects to the core center of the earth. You can go ahead and release anything that's heavy, hasn't been serving you. We love unknown, but chaos is optional. So you can go ahead and ground the chaotic energy and let it go. Release this need to fill in the blanks with stories that don't feel empowering, to look to your past to create what's possible for the future. I literally want you to imagine in your mind's eye taking that and just ripping it in half. Like, no, the past does not control what's going to be possible. The past is wisdom and experiences that you now have. It's knowledge and wisdom that you can use to be the best version of yourself moving forward. But it doesn't mean that that's the only option you have to look for what's possible for you. And so I invite you to like feel the liberation. If we just literally, I'm still like ripping this up, like really just like ripping up the idea that all that you've had is the best it's going to get. And we're going to open up to possibilities. Now, the visual that's coming through is kind of like clearing a chalkboard, like clearing just your mental field, clearing your energetic field. You can feel your aura. It's 6 feet around you in every direction, and just starting to clear this energy, kind of like a winter clearing, letting it go, sending any energy that doesn't serve you down that grounding cord that we connected to at the beginning of the meditation, and connecting to your breath. Your breath is your connection to your life source energy. Your breath is a source of clearing. We're inviting in fresh, cleansing energy through the breath and releasing anything that isn't serving you, any chaotic energy through the thoughts, any filling in the blanks, any trying to make sense of what's going to happen by looking to your past. That's not where the answers are. And the answers come when you don't need them. And as frustrating as that can sound, I really want you to sit with this energy of letting it be okay to not know what's next. Of not needing to manifest as a means to control, of not needing to predict the way that things are going to go, but instead trusting your heart as walking the purpose path. So we're going to invite in some inspiration. Do this through the crown of the head, the top of the head, the crown chakra. Invite in some sparkly, stardusty, celestial energy. This is where you connect to possibilities. We cleared space in the auric field, and we're inviting in possibilities, potential, a better experience, something that feels more grounded, more true. Creating a new definition for what realistic means to you. Normalizing the experiences that once used to be out of reach and starting to call forth the energy of what you've been manifesting in micro moments every single day. And I do invite you, as we approach this new month, illuminated by possibilities, to think about if there's a guiding North Star word that you'd like to embody, something that feels true for you. And it's okay if nothing comes through. We're going to be doing some journaling and connecting to ourselves. And you feel ready, breathe in. We're going to take 2 more cleansing breaths before coming into this space. Take a deep breath in. Hold at the top. Let it go. And this next breath we take is going to be the biggest breath you've taken all month so far. Breathe in. And breathe out. When you feel ready, move your head side to side. Wiggle your fingers, wiggle your toes. Come into the room. Hello and happy February. And thank you so much for being here today. Now that we've grounded into the space, I invite you to grab your journal and I want you to just start to tap into possibilities for this month and start dreaming about what would be your best possible experiences. We're going to free write. So when you connect to your pen and paper, subconscious mind, you start to come up with ideas that might not have been previously accessible. So now that you're in a little bit of a calmer state, we're going to start just reflecting, which is in essentially like reflecting on what you know that you have going on this month. We're reflecting because this is like what we know up until this point, and after this point, things are going to be different. You're going to have more options than you've had in the past. So just start to like take a moment and really think about what would be your ideal outcomes. What would be some experiences that you're calling forth to you? Put your pen to paper and see what comes through. You might be surprised. I'm going to play some music. Just like 3 minutes. Say like
like this month I am calling into my life, or just free write and see what comes.
Okay. So you started to write down this ideal version of the month that you get to experience based on what you already know that you have. Okay. Now, the reason that a lot of this stays out of reach is that you set this, and in your mind, you're either saying, like, this isn't possible, or you start to feel in your body anxiety, like, as the days go by, and you don't have this yet. So, on the other side of what you're manifesting, this is twofold. Like, in order to call these experiences into your life that are different than what you're currently experiencing, you need to either change your thinking, like what you believe to be true, and in 99% of cases it's both. You need to change the way that this feels in your body so that it feels normalized. So if you're setting a goal and you're kind of like, well, this isn't possible, it is wishful thinking if you just keep saying, like, this is going to happen and changing nothing to make it happen. So I invite you next to get really honest and clear of at least one to two limiting beliefs that have kept this out of play, or like thoughts that you're believing about this as you read it. And you know that this is a subconscious thought when it's kind of like the little voice when you read it and it's like, that's not true. That's not possible. This hasn't happened. And it feels like you're kind of like wishing for something that you don't have. So I invite you to just also reread what you wrote and really feel in your body how this feels. And so ideally you read it, it feels very like normal. Like it should feel very emotionally neutral. It shouldn't even necessarily feel like this crazy out of reach thing. It should feel like you're reading it and you just wrote this in past tense as something that like was already your life. But a lot of times, whenever it feels like super exciting, like I'd be so grateful over the moon, it means that you don't actually believe that it's possible. So there's twofold. You need to get clear on the beliefs that are saying that it's not possible, and you can do this through the feeling sensations in the body. So go ahead and like read what you just wrote and then reflect on like a belief that you have that you'd like to release that you think is keeping this currently out of reach. So I'll give you a second to do this. All right. So with this, speed is the key with a subconscious mind. So don't linger on it and overthink or like get it perfect. Like, for example, and I hope this is helpful, but I just read this. I read something that I'm manifesting. I looked and I'm like, okay, I've been manifesting for this for a while and it hasn't happened yet. So I created a guide and I hope that you downloaded it. It's been in the emails that I sent, but it's 8 limiting beliefs that are blocking your purpose. Most of these will trace back to one of those, but like just get really clear on like what part of you doesn't believe that it's possible. What's like that belief that's coming up for you? And then once you've identified this, we'll go to the next step. So just let me know, like, is this making sense to everybody? If you could just like let me know in the chat if you have like your limiting belief that came up. You don't have to share the belief itself, but if you have it, just like thumbs up. Okay. Chat. Yes, yes, yes. Okay, cool. Thank you. Okay. I'm glad that we have it. Okay. So we have our limiting belief. So the next thing that you're going to do, and this is going to be something relating. Yeah, okay. So what we're going to do for this month is we're going to track the micro moments of proof that this is actively happening. Okay. So instead of what your mind is doing right now and looking for the reasons why this isn't possible, I want you to either create a piece of paper that you look at every day in the morning or every day that you look at in the evening, or it can be in your journal. If you have a Ziggy planner, you are a superstar and I love you. And definitely there's a page at the beginning of every month that you can use this for. But you are going to start tracking the proof that this actively is happening. And so when you set an intention, this is like your North Star that you're calling in. It's like something that your heart's desiring and it feels random, but it's not. It's tied into the overall purpose of what you're trying to experience in your life. And your purpose isn't a job, your purpose isn't like a vocation, your purpose isn't just what you do for money. Your purpose is how you show up to every single element of your life. So with this goal, if it came up in that short of the time, it's very top of mind. And this shows that this is somehow correlated to your purpose and it's somehow correlated to showing up as this ideal version of you. So, what you're going to do is make a list, and you can literally type this like proof of my manifestation. Okay. Just like you're literally creating a map, like a blueprint. You're creating proof that this is coming into existence. And this is a conscious process. Eventually, you want to get to the point where this is non declarative and this is just how your brain works. But for now, you're still cultivating the proof. So, this is going to be like an external piece of paper that you can use. You can hang this on your fridge. You can hang this in your room. You can hang this on your door, everywhere that you, somewhere you're going to see it and revisit it every day for this month. And I really want you to just write down the proof that this is happening. So, in terms of a limiting belief, it's something that feels true because there's a lot of evidence behind it on a subconscious level, because it's become like internalized. So basically, we are switching the way that your brain is perceiving this. So you're going to just start making a list of proof for this one specific manifestation. Now, this practice over time, it can feel like kind of overwhelming when you start to think about like, oh my God, I probably have so many limiting beliefs that are standing in the way between like what I want. And the point isn't to become perfect. The point isn't to never doubt what you're creating. The point is to get clear on the voices that are actually you and the voice that is actually you is the part of you that's desiring this because there is a big part of you that believes that you deserve this and that you can actually experience this. So, this is just a really good place to start. And the body sensations where this comes into play, like your body's constantly in communication for you. So if like for example, when I was like coming to New York, this had been a manifestation that I didn't even know that I wanted. And coming here, like in the days before, I was feeling like anxious energy. Even before this masterclass, I was feeling a little anxious energy. And I've changed my relationship to anxiety. And I started to realize like this is excitement within the body. But you start to like feel things that you're calling in, and maybe it's like constricting. Like maybe you want a new job, but then every time you think about it, you feel deflated because you don't want to get your hopes up to be disappointed. It's like a self-defense protection mechanism. So when you start to observe these things, the patterns, you start to give them permission to shift. So as you're starting to do this, what we're going to do is like consciously remember your intention to seek the proof. And this helps you start to shift things on a subconscious level because you're changing the way that your brain is perceiving information. You've probably been conditioned to look for ways that it's not working, and that's been a defense mechanism that's kept you safe. So, by simply doing this one exercise, you're going to start to see momentum and change in this one specific area. So, this is one limiting belief that we're working at. I really encourage you look at that guide if you didn't already, where there's the 8 that we're working through. This is like literally a pinky nails like example of the work that we do together with limiting beliefs. Sometimes the hardest part of limiting beliefs is even recognizing that you're having them, but this is a really good way if you start to like desire something and you're noticing like conflicting feelings about what's going to be possible, that's a key indicator that you're experiencing a limiting belief. So this like definitely make this sheet. That's the first step. Go about that this month. You can do this for one of your goals. You can do this for all of your goals. I recommend starting with like small, tangible steps just at the beginning, thinking about like the one thing that you would call in this month that would make the biggest difference and starting to track what's going to be possible and progress wise for this for you. Now, the other thing about like the body, what we did at the start of this was we regulated the nervous system. So we did meditation so that we could kind of drown out all the noise and ground the chaotic energy. It's really hard to get clear on what your internal voice is telling you when you're feeling like chaotic and scattered and you're running around and you like when you don't feel like you have time to meditate, that's when you need to do it the most because that's when the voices of limiting beliefs like are definitely the loudest. So through this practice, even though it seems relatively simple. Like if you I've found this year the one thing that's made the biggest difference 100% is like the daily commitment to self and the daily commitment to just even if it's a small action, even if it's 20 minutes, sitting down and actually like getting clear on this. So don't look to your past to determine what's going to be possible for the future, but just know you can create anything that you are calling into your life through purpose through this year. So what's coming up for you, guys? If you want to put in the chat like anything you're manifesting, if you're still feeling like anything's out of reach, if you're still feeling like limiting beliefs, if you're still feeling doubts, I'd just be curious to hear like what's coming up for you as we're going through this. And I can tell you about the rabbit, rabbit, rabbit. So this is, I think it's just like UK folklore, but they say if you say rabbit, rabbit, rabbit on the first day of the month, it just creates good luck. So I looked at the origins and it's just like it's like a children's thing. It's not even necessarily anything crazy, but I just love like this ability to approach a new month from this place where anything can be possible. Okay. That was from my Instagram today. It looks like somebody's typing something. We have been saying that for several years now. Yeah, I know. It's just kind of like a fun thing because I looked up the origins. I'm like, is this a weird like witchy thing? And I don't know, I'm all for weird witchy things, but no, it's just kind of like a folklore like thing from the UK. Jealous people holding me back from accomplishing my goals. Okay. That's really interesting. I'd actually be wondering if you could say more on that, if you feel comfortable sharing. I'd really like actually like to hear more about like how what's going on with this because there might be other people who can relate to this. Thank you. Yeah, if you want to like unmute. Okay. And then we have fear of and thank you everybody for sharing. This really helps because then we can actively work with this in real time. Like while we're here, why don't we set ourselves up for the ultimate success? So Feel of failure and rejection and what is definitely limiting me. Many manifestations deal with openness and vulnerability. I feel it, and that has been holding me back in the past. Okay, definitely. One of the things that completely changed my perspective on like fear of failure and success is like in order to be successful, you have to fail. And so our ego is what's afraid of failure. Our soul is really driven towards growth, and our ego just wants to keep us safe. So it can feel really scary to fail, to not get what you thought you wanted. This was definitely the hardest lesson I had to learn recently. But I find that the more that you get information, like the more you realize that the fears you have around the failure don't actually hold power over you. And I love this quote that Sarah Blakely had shared where in her family they would celebrate failures because that means that you're trying something new. And I know that it feels very scary on a body level. So if you do have this fear of failure, it's definitely like within your body, like the association of what you're making it mean. But on a conscious level, just offering up that in order to be successful, like that is one of the things that you need to confront head on. Um, so I really see you and recognize that. And I appreciate you for sharing that. And I just want to offer the reframe of like the only way failure is just the ego's perception of it, like on a soul level. That's the only way that you ultimately grow. So it hasn't worked in the past. Why would it work now? This is a really big one. This is like huge. And I really suffered from this belief too of like, why would things change? Like if it hasn't worked, what's going to change now? So that is really up to you to really look at like what has changed now. What is different? What is different about this time? And you start to defend your manifestations as opposed to defending your limiting beliefs and start realizing that every moment is a fresh starting point. And I really love whenever I bring my power back to the present moment and I remember what's truly possible. And I just do this even as you like start to gaze off into the distance and you can start to notice like your breath, start to notice more and more things coming into your conscious awareness. You're perceiving such a limited, it's like 0.001% of what's happening in your active reality. And what you're perceiving is what you've been conditioned to perceive in the past. And opening yourself up and knowing that there is a different way, there is a different path. Your past doesn't create your future. The way that I overrode this too is just by taking different actions, by taking actions that scare me, by taking actions that are different. There was this instance at the beginning of the year. There was like this program that I was debating if I wanted to sign up for. And part of me was like, okay, well, this is like a lot of money compared to what I've invested recently. If I do this, like, what's going to happen? But that question of like what's going to happen, it was a different action and I didn't know what was going to happen. And so through leaning into the uncertainty, it actually opened up more and I ended up making more money through that decision. Even though at the beginning it was like a risk, it opened me up to something better. But I do want to say like part of the risk is like you don't always know how it's going to work out. You either get the result that you want or you get the lesson to become the version of yourself who has the result that you want. So I look at this, I shared about this in my writing too, where like one of my biggest failures I felt like was publicly like trying to manifest staying in my apartment after I left corporate, this like bougie apartment in the West Village. And I didn't. And I left and I felt like so deflated and so sad. And it was like the one thing that I had wanted. And after I failed, it opened the whole world up for me by facing like the one thing that I didn't want. It helped shape and turn me into the best possible version of myself. And as I was walking in the West Village today, my apartment, the entire window is covered by scaffolding and construction. So I viewed this as like a failure, but in reality, it was just me being protected from like trying super hard to accomplish something that wasn't even meant for me. But through like failing, it gave me some of my best art and helps me to create some of the most beautiful things that I ever wanted. And the other thing, I got into this place where I was like setting these goals and I was getting really frustrated and really upset because I was never hitting them. But it was like, you should set your goal not so that you don't think that you're going to do it, quote unquote, but because it requires you to become a new version in the pursuit of creating it. I find that that's when it's the most valuable, when it's you're setting this goal and you don't know how you're going to do it. And part of you is like, I don't know if I can do this, but that doesn't feel like you're shrinking or not good enough. Like part of you doesn't feel like you can do it because you're pushing yourself and it's forcing you to become a new version of yourself. Like, yeah, maybe the current version of you actually couldn't do it, but who you're going to become on the other side of it actually becomes someone so spectacular that you are able to accomplish it and make it happen. And for the jealous people holding you back, I always look at like, would you want their life? Like, would you want their experience of reality? Because oftentimes, jealousy, let me actually read the energy around this. Okay. As I'm reading this situation, if you just give me a second, the image is coming through. Okay, I'm just seeing that you have weak boundaries around this situation. And I'm seeing that you'll set a boundary with this person, but then you'll like leave the door open. Like you're inviting in their feedback. Whereas if you were to hold firm in your boundaries, and this can be energetically, this can be being a little bit, I use the word firm, but I'm not saying that you need to be mean and like, it's being more firm within yourself about what you are and are not available for. And as you show up more strongly in your boundaries and just with what you're willing to tolerate and what you're not available for, it's going to force this other person to like honor those boundaries. So I'm seeing right now you set like a boundary, but there's like a door that's wide open. And so this person can just come in and affect your energy whenever, whatever, like at will. And it's very disorienting. It's very like creates a lot of anxiety. So instead, you can choose to shut the door and change the dynamic of where this person has to knock if they want to approach you. So you're, and if you look at the metaphor of this, is it's like you're just allowing this person's opinions to come in at any point, whereas you can actually set boundaries around this so that it only comes in a time where you're like able to meet it so that it's not dysregulating, it's not causing you stress, chaos, anxiety, and so that it's actually productive and conducive, and so that their energy stays with them and you don't take it on because that's why it feels so icky is because you're taking on this other person's energy. Their energy has so much going on and you don't need to take that on. So it is like, and the way that you're going to do this is by like setting boundaries. Yes, with that person, with being direct, but more specifically within yourself about what you are and are not willing to take on. Okay. Loved that quote in the reframing, very in line with my own reflections and notes in your journal. Amazing. See, it's wild because we have the answers and a lot of times like I'm just reflecting back what you need to hear maybe in a different way that will get through to you and I'm really excited. So really approaching this upcoming month as if it can and will actually be the shift and change for everything. Yes, I have seen that the universe sometimes has a timeline for us that ends up being better when the timing is right. Yes, it protects us when it comes, it is always better than expected. 100%. And I just found that I was trying to build my dream life on a corroded foundation. I was trying to keep everything that I had attained through like my life in New York was something that I got as a result of my corporate tech career. I did not want to stay in corporate tech. I felt like I was dying in those conference rooms, like a plant without light and energy. I couldn't do it anymore. I didn't care how many hundreds of thousands of dollars they were paying me. It was not what I wanted to do anymore. And it was really hard for my ego to go from that to being like, I want to do my business where I am not making anywhere near the money that I was making on that path. And I had to say goodbye to that old life to rebuild from a stable foundation. And I don't regret it because of the difference of the way that I feel in my body. And whenever I'm talking about purpose path and somebody's like, I'm doing something completely different than what I want to be doing, like I would never suggest just like leave the environment right now, like jump all in, like it will fry your nervous system. And I have to say, like, while that was my path, a lot of times my path is being paved a way to help you know what mistakes to avoid because I learned through trial and error. So I definitely feel like I took the hard route with that. But what I will say is that like rebuilding from a stable foundation and like a regulated nervous system is the best gift I could have ever given myself. And I know in the context of like the full picture scope of life, it's so, like there's so much more value and wealth in like building. And it comes through just taking one honest action at a time. That's how you really pave the purpose path. And like you really do it, like just one honest action at a time. So I would say with this. And if anybody has any other situations they want to do the energy reading on, that was really cool. But I definitely start like I get a piece of paper and then write down the one goal that you really want to accomplish this month. And you can make it bigger if it has to be bigger. Oftentimes you should probably like make it bigger because what you're looking for is small and then it's going to happen early and then you can like do another piece of paper because it's probably not going to take a full month to make it happen. But when you see and you're reminded continually of what you're working towards and you start to train your brain to look for the proof that it's happening, it just naturally starts to shift things. So, this is just examples of some of the work that we do together. So, I have different ways. I decided to name, since today was navigating the purpose path, the next thing that I'm going to invite you, if you would like to continue, creative direction for your life. So, nothing's off limits. Everything from the way that you show up and present yourself, everything from the way that you communicate in your friendships, show up to your career, show up in your purpose. I have options to work together ranging from 1 session to 6 months together. So I'll include details and links for those if you're interested. Basically, just set up a call with me and we can discuss like what you're working through, what's going to be of the best service, if you just need one breathwork session or if you need an entire package together. It's my honor to serve you. And everything that I use with clients is things that I've either personally experienced and learned through wisdom, or it's something that just I've been studying and I've been certified in all kinds of different mindset techniques and energy healings and energy work and breath work and things like this. So it's an honor to share this with you. And I just want to thank you so much to everybody who showed up today. This was really fun. And after you leave this class, you get to make a decision that like this is a turning point for you. So there's so much power in making that decision in your mind. And that's the biggest lesson that I've learned recently is everything shifted. It was for me when I made that decision on the first of the year that I was like, I'm not available for things to stay the same. And I find that you need to back a decision with action. So for me, I made that on the first of the year, and it's like I had no plans to start this year, and now my life has completely unfolded through March, and it's absolutely incredible. Like the New York City door had been closed after I had left corporate. I tried so hard to get sits here, and then the way that it just like was so easy now. You really can create anything that you want. You let go of the way that you think that it needs to happen and just be willing to let things fall away if they're not truly set up the way that they're meant to be. So I'm so excited for you. Go ahead and reflect on this and make today the best day ever. I love you guys so much. I'm so happy you're here. I will send the recording and I will see you very soon. Bye.